And
So,
that's absolutely true.
on a daily basis, minutes-wise, how many minutes do you think you pray a day? Let's confess
Let's
this
go to
one,
a
baby.
commercial. Yeah, you know, it's. I would say it's less than half an hour. I would say it's less
Okay.
than half an hour on a daily basis.
Dominic, how about you?
31 minutes.
Good
Be
for you.
truthful now. Be truthful, Dominic.
All right, 30 and 30. No. My prayer life ebbs and flows. I do enjoy praying. When I get into it, I thoroughly enjoy being in the presence of God and communicating with Him. I enjoy being in a small group where people are really seeking after God. If it became a competition and there's that human element, yeah, that just kills it.
Sure.
But my prayer life ebbs and flows. There are times where I'll pray like an hour or more a day. There are times where, you know, there are prayers on the run. There are really a lot of prayers on the run. If you total them up, you know, there are 15 minutes to a half hour, whatever. My schedule demands that. I'm not a very disciplined person. So if my schedule gets very busy, you know, my prayer life begins to wane.
Sure.
And I wouldn't call myself an intercessor.
Yeah.
You know, that list, praying for people in your church, I'm horrible at that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that at all.
Love the authenticity.
So-
Love the authenticity. Before we go to commercial break, well, for me, I usually pray and read the Bible for about an hour a day from 5 to 6 in the morning. I still try to do that pretty daily, every day in my spiritual rhythms. Before we go to commercial break, yes or no? Okay? Yes or no, that's it. Don't expound upon it. Have you ever thought about quitting ministry? Dominic.
Oh, absolutely.
Rick.
Not for a long time.
Okay.
It's
Well, for me, yes. We'll go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're talking about sex, so stay with us. Welcome back to Faith and Reason. We're talking about confessions from 3 pastors, local pastors here in New Jersey. And before we went to break, I asked you just a quick question. Have you ever thought about quitting ministry? Let's just expound about that just a little bit before we talk about sex. So, I mean, Rick, about you? Have you ever thought about quitting ministry?
it's not an issue that I deal with or wrestle with. It's not. I mean, there's a lot written about the fact that Mondays are a day that many pastors consider resigning their church and doing something else. You know, I went through some tough things as a young pastor back in Canada in the 80s where I really had a strong sense that this is where God wants me, and since I've been in Fort Lee since 1991 as the pastor of Fort Lee Gospel, and it's not really an issue that I wrestle with deeply. You know, there's seasons of discouragement, but I have to say that I feel more settled in what I do now than I did 10 years ago, and happy to do it. So, but that's just me. I'm not saying I don't get frustrated. That's a different question to me. But quitting, it hasn't been seriously considered. Maybe considering looking at greener pastures, that might be another question too.
Sure. How about you, Dominic, just quickly?
Yeah, I think there have been times where you know, I got a business degree and my undergraduate degree. I often thought, I wonder how it would be doing that. I like to do different things, so there are times where I would say, you know, maybe I would like to do something else. I really thoroughly enjoy ministry. I love serving the Lord. It's not always easy. You get frustrated. There are a lot of frustrations and difficulties, but so I mean, at those times you think about doing something else. Yeah, but it all comes down to the call. I mean, really, I think that's, you stop and you say, because as Jesus did from the cross, it's not my will, but it's Thy will.
That's right.
So, you know, when we get to those times, you stop and say, God, is this where you want me? And if He says yes, you move on. And you grow from it. You know, you're the better person for it.
Yeah, I think for pastors to say that they've never thought about leaving their church per se, maybe not ministry, but their church, I don't think they're trying hard enough. You know, and I think it's that when you try and you love this parish, you love this church, and you're doing the best you can. You know, it will fail you at times, and you will be hurt by it. And I've many times when I'm a church planner. And doing that, I mean, there were many times I thought, you know, why am I doing this? Should I just go into an existing church that's already doing well, as opposed to starting something from scratch, where right now we have no one coming out to the church and don't know what's going to happen. So it's something that I know at the beginning days when I started this church was something that was constant. I was thinking about it, and it got real difficult. Especially the worst thing is when people start saying bad things about you in the church, and you're like, man, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, why are they saying all these bad things? I didn't do anything wrong, or all I did is try to reach out to them, but yet they're not satisfied by what you're doing, and sometimes that really hurts.
I mean, the great thing about ministry is it really is very humbling.
Yeah.
It's
It
very
is. It
humbling,
sure is,
yeah.
which is wonderful. I mean, it causes you to be more like
The whole
Jesus.
poor in spirit part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
it's a
really
great thing.
challenges. Are you doing, are you doing this for the right reasons? Because I don't know anyone who would stay in this and do it unless they love Jesus. I mean, quite honestly, you got to be a loser or something.
Yeah, well,
That's how I really feel.
that's for another show. But
Yeah, right.
let's talk a little bit about sex. We want to spend some time on this. When I was growing up as a young teenager, my mom told me that pastors don't struggle with sexual temptation. She actually told me that pastors only have sex to procreate, so they don't even actually enjoy sex. Is that true? I mean, are
why did
pastors
she say that
impervious to sexual temptation? I mean, what's going on
This is why
here?
you wanted this show.
Yes, that's exactly right. Let's
your
let these people
mother.
be educated. All
Well-
right? But I mean, what's the deal here? I mean, for me, I'll go first because I'm the one asking these questions. I've thought about it a lot longer than you
Good
have.
for you.
But I struggle with it, of course, and I find myself struggling with it even more when I'm traveling to other cities. To other places, and this is the reason why I never like to travel alone. In fact, I always try to bring another person with me, and even when I went out to Africa, I spent a day or two in Paris and Africa and hotels and so forth, and I'd always like to bring someone with me. And I want to try to create some healthy boundaries, and I know myself well enough where I'm trying to set up some healthy sort of parameters and help for me so that I will not fall in sexual temptation of any sort. So for me, especially still being the younger out of the three here, I find that it is a struggle.
Watch it.
It is a struggle. So in any event, how about for you guys? I mean, is it a struggle, Rick, for you?
Yeah, I'm human, and especially your mother's wrong in the fact that
She's
that,
crazy. I know.
right.
It's crazy.
Sex is not just for procreation. I'm married, and I'm thankful I'm married. And that's a great part of our tradition is you can have a wife, and that's appropriate. Let me throw in one thought before I make it personal. Someone has made the point that the closer you get to God, the more alive you become. And when you become more alive, you become more sexual. And so in one sense, it's at the times of my life that spiritually some of the best things are happening, that the temptations come in as well. Because I'm all the more, you're alive. And this is really a great message for people who are not believers. The opposite is when I was in high school.
What's the dynamic to that? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd buy onto that, but what's
Okay,
the dynamic?
well, let me give you the
Go ahead.
negative first. When I was in high school, I had a couple friends, and I wasn't a believer, who smoked marijuana every day. And after a while, they lost their sex drive. They just were not interested in girls anymore because they were getting high. All they wanted to do is get high. And they smoked marijuana twice, 3 times a day.
Oh.
And so, in that environment, when they were less alive. As they were less alive, they were less sexual. And so here's my premise. When you are, and I've heard that this is not original to me, but I've heard some teaching on this. When you're filled with the Spirit, you are more alive. When God has full control of you, you appreciate nature more, you appreciate life more, you laugh more easily, your relationships are healthier, they're better, and out of that, your sexuality is heightened, not reduced. I mean, it's a fallacy to say that you get close to God and you've got no sexual ideas. And if you look at the mystics, there was a lot of overlap between their love for God and sexual passion, and so all of that to say that when someone says, especially a man, I can't speak for women, I don't understand women, but when a man says that he is not tempted in some form of sexual desire, he's either lying or else he's buried his emotions deep down. He's not fully alive. He's actually buried, he's at a place where he's numbed himself down. It's like the person who never gets angry. Well, they never get happy either.
It's probably the prior, though, from my experiences. People are just lying about it.
They're probably lying. They're probably lying. Yeah.
So
Your turn.